What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. We're going to be talking about the markets. Obviously, markets are pumping this morning. Will it continue? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the tariffs, the tariff deal. That, again, isn't a deal. We're just getting a bunch of announcements, in my belief, that is just trying to pump the markets before the inevitable, right? The inevitable is the markets are going to come down in a big way. But we keep getting news events to try to keep pushing it up, right? And most of them, they're just twisted words, right? There's no trade deal. They've paused it. But anyways, we're going to go over all this. We're going to take a look at what's going on in everything. So basically, the tariffs is a 90-day pause, right? So now, coming from someone that was ordering, I was ordering container loads of equipment from China, and my tariffs were 25%. That was, I started that almost 3 years ago, and now I'm done with it. But during that time, it was 25% tariff, right? So 25% of whatever my whole purchase was, I had to pay as a tariff. Now it's still higher than that. Even with the pause, it's 30% on China. So it's still above, right? And this little pause thing, I don't think it's gonna continue. We have we've heard this 90-day pause a million times, right? And then it keeps changing. Never trust what they're saying with this stuff, in my opinion. And another thing I want to talk about with the markets going up. Oh, hi guys. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone had an awesome weekend. Don't forget, guys, take a second out, smash the thumbs up. At 100 likes, we will be giving away a free $200 promo code. You can sign up using PrimeXBT. You don't have to have a deposit to use the $200 promo code. So the first one to get it uses it. I'll put it in the chat once we get 100 likes. But we've got a lot to talk about. So another thing, at 9:30, what's Trump do? He signs an executive order. Remember, I've been telling you guys forever that the timing they do this stuff, right? They might have done something 2 days ago, but they'll announce it when need be in the market time, right? It's just... Oh, it's funny. It is funny to me that a lot of people don't see this and just see it as a normal thing, right? So as of right now, the Dow Jones is up over 1,000 points. S&P's up over 140 points. Nasdaq's up almost 600. Now, will this continue throughout the day? Remember, guys, we like to watch for a 10 o'clock reversal. Are we going to get that today? Who knows? But we're going to watch for it anyways. I'm currently not in a trade. I'm getting ready to pounce, and I will let you guys know when I'm going to get back into a trade. But another huge announcement. LOL, Trump speaking and everything falls. Yeah, I don't know. Is he making his announcement right now? Let me see. Let me see what's going on, and maybe we'll watch that live. I didn't realize it was going to be a live. Yeah, okay. I'm going to turn off the monetization on this, right? So we can watch this together like we did last time. And we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. So definitely stick around. And this ought to be good. Where the hell is my monetization? Okay, I'm going to turn that off on this, right? So we can watch the Trump video. We are going to watch this together, guys, again, like we did last time. Might have to adjust the sound and all that good stuff, but we will definitely be watching this together, right? Get that chat off of there. Watch this when it comes out. But it was supposed to be at 9:30, and it's 9:50. Did he already make it? Did he already do it? Someone let me know. Did he already talk? What's up, Johnny? How you doing, man? I appreciate you stopping in. Oh, it already went. Okay. All right. Let's do things are lining up for a bull run. Possibly. I'm not convinced. So, as you guys can
Thank
see,
you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's a big day.
Is
Should
this
be
live?
fun. I don't know. You'll maybe find reasons why it's not. And they were going at it hot and heavy, and it was seemingly not going to stop.
Can you guys hear that? Let me know if you can hear it.
I'm very proud to let you know that the leadership of India,
Amazing that it's at 9:30, right? Or market open.
But unwavering in both cases, and having these, they really were, from the standpoint of having the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said,
go again.
We're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop.
What happened to the tariffs? We're going to cut our income tax out.
A lot of reasons, but trade is a big one. We're going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating
things that would make me think that Trump is real, right? Because I don't believe any politician's real. I think they're all puppets. But
it could have been
two things.
Nuclear war.
If two things could happen, I would believe he's real. That's
I also want to thank
three things.
President Vance and Secretary of
Get rid of the Fed.
Their work and
get rid of federal taxes,
we also,
or
as you know,
income taxes, and
where the Houthis
property taxes. Do that, and I'll believe that Trump's real.
Have ceased firing, and they've let it be known that they're not going to be firing at American ships anymore. Not going to be
20 likes, guys. Guys, make sure you smash the likes so we can give you guys that
heavy barrage
$200 promo code. I have a huge announcement with Prime, too.
And as you know, they've been in war essentially for forever. But over the last 10 years, they've been very difficult for other countries. Nobody was able to do what we did. But they stopped, and we take their word for it. Their surrogates and them directly said, we don't want to do this anymore. And so we were satisfied with
Alexander.
that. In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China. After productive talks in Geneva, both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd.
They're not reducing
10%
the tariffs, actually. They're reducing the imposed tariffs.
Larger structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things.
There's no deal.
First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs. And it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs because they don't want to pay 25, 50, or 100% tariffs, so they're moving them back to the United States. I spoke to Tim Cook this morning, and he's going to, I think, even up his numbers, $500 billion. He's going to be building a lot of plants in the United States for Apple, and we look forward to that. I really do look forward to that. But the talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China. China was being hurt very badly. They were closing up factories. They were having a lot of unrest.
Chinese salesmen,
able to do something with us.
They told me that it wasn't nothing like that over there.
The relationship is very, very good. I'll speak to President Xi maybe at the end of the week. We have some other things we're doing. But one of the biggest things that we're doing, and I don't know if people realize this, but we made a great deal with China, great trade deal. But it was a much bigger deal originally, and then they canceled it right in the last day. Some of you faces I remember were there when that happened. I remember you. And we had a deal where they opened up their country to trade with the United States. And they took that away at the last moment, and then I canceled the whole thing. And then 6 months later, we ended up doing a smaller deal. But it was a big deal. It was $50 billion worth of product that they were going to purchase from our farmers, et cetera.
He's talking about a big deal that never happened. It never happened. Why talk about it? It's not.
Because they were doing 15. We made it 50 because I misunderstood the 15. I thought they said, I said, you got to get 50. because when I asked, if you remember the story, when I asked, what are we doing with them, my Secretary of Agriculture at the time, Sonny Perdue, said, sir, it's about 15 billion, and we're asking for 15. And I thought he said 50. So I said, so they came back with the deal at 15, and I said, no way, I want 50, because you said 50.
Let's hit one in the chat if the sound is okay.
Said, go back and ask for 50, and they gave us 50. And they were honoring the deal, and we would call them up a lot for the corn and for the wheat and for everything. They were honoring the deal, and then when Biden got in, they no longer honored the deal. There was nobody to call. I would call on an average of once every 2 weeks to say, come on, you have to speed it up a little bit. And our farmers were doing great. I said to them, buy more land and bigger tractors, if you remember. That's what happened. But the deal was a very good deal. But the best part of the deal was that we opened up China. China agreed to open itself up to American business to go in.
Take a look at some charts. You're going to take a look at the DXY and the 10-year yield, which should be going down if the market's going up. But we're going to take a look at
products that they have never been able to buy. Would have been great for American business. I think it would have brought unity between China, better unity between China and the United States. And the bottom line is that they canceled it the last day. We were all set to sign it, and then I went a little bit angry. I got a little angry. I said, they canceled the deal. The deal was done. It was all ready to be signed. And people went over. They came back to me, sir, they don't want to sign the opening up China. Well, the biggest thing that we're discussing is the opening up China, and they've agreed to do that. But it's going to take a while to paper it. You know, that's not the easiest thing to paper. But that's the single, I think, to me, some people would disagree. Some people would say we're getting a lot of money with tariffs or whatever. But, you know, especially when you add what we already have. Because remember, we're already getting the 50% on steel and different things. That's not included in these numbers. So you can add that. But the biggest thing to me is the opening up. It would be, I think it would be fantastic for our businesses if we could go in and compete with China. It would be a lot of jobs.
China needs a lot more than he used
to. At a time when they can frankly use the jobs. And that's what we're talking about. So that's a very, very important element to add. So when Scott, I watched him speak the other day, and I think he didn't want to say it, but I said, it's okay to say it. Look, if we don't get it, we don't get it. But if we don't get it, it won't be a positive thing. But if we do get it, I think it's maybe the most important thing to happen. Because if you think about it, we opened up our country to China. They come, they have very few restrictions.
And it's still 10 o'clock.
They didn't open their country to us. Never made sense to me. It's not fair. And they've agreed to open China, fully open China. And I think it's going to be fantastic for China. I think it's going to be fantastic for us. And I think it's going to be great for unification and peace.
I've lost total confidence in
China will
anyone
also
in our
suspend
government
and
being
remove all of its non-monetary barriers. They've agreed to do that. Well, they're very numerous. But again, to me, the biggest thing that came out of that meeting is they've agreed. Now we have to get it papered, but they've agreed to open up China. It's going to be great for everybody.
Get the papers.
And third, I'm
so they haven't done
very happy to announce that Idan Alexander, an American citizen who until recently most thought was no longer living, thought was dead, is going to be released in about 2 hours, actually. And he's going to be released before the eyes of Steve Witkoff, who's done a fantastic job. I know a lot of people that have a lot of talent. I know Steve had a lot of talent. But I know a lot of people with a lot of talent, but there's one that I thought had a special way about him, special personality, aside from being a good deal maker, had a special way about him, and it was Steve. Knew very little about the subject matter, who does, but he learned it in about 2 hours, and he's been fantastic. So I want to just thank Steve, but they're going to be releasing Idan in about 2 hours from now.
What's your guys' thoughts on this? Come on. Let me know in the chat.
And again, they thought he was dead just a short while ago. His parents are so happy. They're so happy. So it's, as you know, Idan's the only American citizen who's captured. and held hostage by Hamas since October 7th, 2023. And he's coming home to his parents, which is really great news. I mean, to me, it's big news. They thought he was dead. So that's that. So we'll be heading there, and we'll be seeing 3 primary countries. You know all about that. Saudi Arabia.
There's 82 people watching, and nobody's saying jack.
On Thursday's meeting with
so your volume off,
Russia
and you're just waiting for the promo code.
I was very insisted that that meeting take place. I think good things can come out of that meeting.
Baron Boss Lady said, I think it won't be long before Trump is saying we have peace all over the world, peace and security. I highly doubt that. The government doesn't work like that.
More than 5,000
War
soldiers.
is a moneymaker.
They're not American soldiers. They're from Russia. They're from Ukraine.
How they pad their
people.
pockets.
They're human souls, and they're being killed at levels that we haven't seen since the Second World War. And it's every week.
I was
drone fighting.
I was happy
warfare and it's
thinking that Trump maybe was going to be different. I really did, but I'm totally disappointed.
I'd like to go back to China just for a second.
He's just
very
a puppet,
heavy on the
in my
fentanyl.
opinion.
We're charging them, as you know, 20% for the fact that they send fentanyl into our country, and they've agreed that they're going to stop that. And you know they'll be rewarded by not having to pay hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. So the fentanyl should stop. It comes from China. It's amazing. And comes through our southern border, comes through our northern border too, comes through Canada, and comes through our southern border, much more through the southern border. But so that's a very important subject to me, because everybody in this room has lost friends or people that have family members that have died of fentanyl. So there's a big incentive for China to stop, and I take them at their word. They're going to work on that.
Super bullish.
I think very hard. And one thing, when they work on something, they get it done. So now I'm about to depart on a historic.
We're going to take a look at the yields and stuff here in a minute.
To, as I said, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates. Before I do, I'll sign one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. I don't think there's ever been anything signed like this, certainly not with respect to health care.
Executive order, he says that.
To be joined on this occasion by Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert.
He doesn't even really sound confident when he talks anymore. He sounds like he's just reading the script now, like all the others.
CMS administrator, a friend of mine, Dr. Mehmet
doing what he's
Oz,
told.
who is an amazing guy. You know, I was telling Bobby before, Oz had a very successful show, but it hurt his reputation. Because when you're in show business, it hurts your reputation a little bit. It's good for you. It's good for you, but in terms of professionalism and being a doctor, it sort of hurts your reputation. This guy went to the best schools, was the best. I mean,
he's nervous.
Top of the line. Then he did a television show, became a success.
They're all actors. I totally 100% believe that now. You know, like I said, I had faith and I was hoping that things were different, but it really isn't.
Special woman.
Powers that be, man, have total 100% control, and they ain't letting go.
In our cities and states, history, New York, she was really tough, really sharp. Then she did a show, and people didn't think of her quite the same way. She became more of an entertainment person, like Oz. Oz is not an entertainer. He's not really an entertainer, if you know the real story. And she isn't either. She is unbelievable. She was one of the strongest district attorneys in the history of New York, highly respected, very
Let him
tough.
keep the jet, you know, something's
Went
messed up.
the drug dealers at a level that you don't see today anymore. And you know, hopefully she's given up a tremendous, she's leaving the #1 show on cable television, one of the #1 shows on television, period. The 5, but they've got great people left behind, but she was a big part of it. And
who's this dude all the way to the right? He looks like Paul's
Janine Pirro is
clone.
unbelievable. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary, with a reputation that's second to none, and the job he's doing already has been fantastic. Thank you, Marty. And Director of National Institute of Health, Jay Bhattacharya, who has been, as you know, from Stanford.
Vandra, can you turn up your volume? What volume are you telling me? My voice or the video?
Being a little bit
I don't understand.
aspect of it is why doesn't
Right,
somebody fight the drug price situation, meaning equalization. There's a term, it's called equalization. Nobody wants to mention that term. And I'm not knocking the drug companies. I'm really more knocking the countries than the drug companies, because they're forced to do things. But the drug lobby is the strongest lobby in this country, they say, the drug lobby. It's between that and lawyers.
That's what I said.
And
it looks like it's
they have a lot of power. But starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care. Countries where they paid a small fraction of what, for the same drug, that what we pay many, many times more for. And we'll no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. But again, it was really the countries that forced Big Pharma to do things that, frankly, I'm not sure they really felt comfortable doing. But they've gotten away with it, these countries. European Union has been brutal. And the drug companies actually told me stories. It was just brutal how they forced them. And European Union suing all our companies, Apple, Google, Meta. They're suing all of our companies. They end up, they have judges that are European Union-centric, and they get rewarded 15 billion, 17 billion, 20 billion, and they use that to run their operation. It's not going to happen any longer, that I can tell you. So what's been happening is we've been subsidizing other countries throughout the world, not just in Europe, throughout the world. European Union was the most difficult, from what I understand. I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? He said, so I checked. Buy in New York.
What the hell is
and
that?
Here I'm paying $88 in London. In New York, I'm paying $1,300. Now, this is a great businessman, but he's not familiar with this crazy situation that we have. But he was stunned. But it was just one of those stories. And I brought it up with the drug companies, represented by somebody who's very, very smart, good person, too. And we argued about it for about half hour, and then finally he just said,
to dabble in price manipulation on anything, whether it be up or down. I don't know. I could be wrong.
You got me.
Pretty sure that they weren't supposed to.
They've been justifying this crap for years. They said, oh, it's research and development.
Not saying I don't think drugs are
research and development.
overpriced.
Other countries should pay research and development, too. It's for their benefit. It was just one of those things. And the other countries would set a price, and they'd meet the price, and they'd say,
make sure
if
you
don't meet the
smash
price,
likes.
You can't sell it in our country.
We'll be getting into the charts
I said,
here in a
then
minute.
You walk away, and they'll call you back, and they'll sell it in the country. But now they'll have to do that. So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think 59. If you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. It depends on the way you want to analyze it. But in one way, you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%. So when I worked so hard in the first term, and if I got prices down, remember, I was the only one to ever get prices down for a full year.
A lot more than
but
you used to. Everything was definite
and I thought
before.
It was like a big deal. Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%. But actually more than that, if you think about it in the way mathematically. And Pharma has to say, we're sorry, but we'll not be able to do this any longer to these countries that have been so tough. They've been very tough, nasty. It's trade. It's trade. And pharma is also very powerful. And the Democrats have protected pharma. The Democrats, this is the Democrats have protected pharma. These are the Democrats. And by the way,
what happened to the tariffs? We're going
I just called
abolish the IRS.
Speaker of the House,
what happened to that?
And I just called the leader, our leader in the Senate, John Thune, Mike Johnson.
What happened to going to see if the gold is all still there?
You're going to have to score two things. You're going to have to, number one, score that hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is coming in. But even bigger than that, you're going to have to score that your costs for Medicaid and Medicare and just basically pharmaceuticals and drugs is going down at a level that nobody has ever seen before. It'll pay for the Golden Dome.
Isabella, I'm not so sure I believe that. I mean, it's possible.
It'll easily pay for the Golden Dome.
Kind of far-fetched, I think.
And we'll have a lot of money left over.
Whatever.
We need the Golden Dome, by the way, in this world. Although this world's a lot safer today than it was a week ago, and a lot safer than it was 6 months ago. We had people that had no clue what they were doing. So today, Americans spend 70% more for prescription drugs than we spent in the year 2000. Think of that. Our country has the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by sometimes a factor of 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It's not like they're slightly higher. They're 6, 7, 8 times. There are even cases of 10 times higher. So that you go 10 times more expensive for the same drug, that's big numbers.
At one time
even though the United States is home to only 4% of the world's population,
they switched it up.
Pharmaceutical companies make more than 2/3 of their profits in America. So think of that. With 4% of the population,
something weird's happening.
The pharmaceutical companies make most of their money, most of their profits from America. That's not a good thing.
Look at Coming to America,
now,
the movie.
I think,
I'll
by
check
the way,
that
pharmaceutical, I have great respect for these companies and for the
people
that run them. I really
comedy?
do. And I think they did one of the greatest jobs in history for their company, convincing people for many years that this was a fair system. And nobody really understood why, but I figured it out. For years, pharmaceutical and drug companies have said that research and development costs were
How were they trading stocks
what
in
they
the car
are.
in the 80s?
For no reason whatsoever. They had to be borne by America alone. Not anymore, they don't. This means American patients were effectively subsidizing socialist healthcare systems in Germany, in all
I remember
parts
that
of
movie.
the
I don't remember that
European
part, though,
Union.
I
They
will
were the
definitely
toughest of
check
all.
that
They
out
were
just
nasty.
just
And I
to
see
check
that.
it
I
out.
see that with trade too. European Union is in many ways nastier than China. Okay? And we've just started with them. Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch. We have all the cards. They treated us very unfairly. They sell us
We have all the
13
cards.
million cars. We sell them none.
We have all the cards.
They sell us their agricultural products. We sell them virtually none. They don't take our products. That gives us all the cards.
Take our
And very
products
unfair.
because
So they're going to have
we
to pay
put
more
so
for
much
health
shit
care, and we're
in
going to
our
have to pay less.
products
That's all it is.
that other countries don't
Believe it or
want
not,
our
you know, because
products,
it's really
as
the
in
world we're
food
talking
products.
about, not just the
We
European
have
Union.
the most unhealthy,
But because it's
nastiest
the world,
food
the
shit in the
numbers
world.
are,
No countries allow our shit.
The numbers
over
are, for the healthcare company, not as bad as you would think. They'll make the same. I think the healthcare companies should make pretty much the same money. I really don't believe they should be affected very much because it's just a redistribution of wealth. It's a redistribution where it could be the same top line, but it's going to be distributed differently. Europe's going to have to pay a little bit more. The rest of the world's going to have to pay a little bit more, and America's going to pay a lot less. Again, because it's a much smaller population than when you think of the whole world.
The food it just tastes better, especially like
basically
fruits
what we're
and
doing
meats
is
in other
equalizing.
countries
There's a
than
new
it
word
does
that I
here.
came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize, where we're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe's going to pay. We're going to all pay. Now, there may be some countries in dire need, and I would be willing to
And again, don't forget, I'm going to
sacrifice
make a big announcement on the Prime
and help them.
XBT too.
But it's called Most Favored Nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price. That's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country. Whoever is paying the lowest price, we will look at that price and we will say that's the price we're going to pay. Most favored nations, that's what it is. One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle, but the same drug from the same factory, manufactured by the same company, is 1/6 that price in Australia and 1/10 that price in Sweden. 1/10 for the identical product. A common asthma drug costs almost $500 here in America, but costs less than $40 in the United Kingdom. So $40 in the United Kingdom, which is where this gentleman told me he paid a small amount for his.
Because our tariffs are higher on that medication? I don't know.
But
maybe
think of
not.
that. So
You tell me.
$40
Let me know in the chat.
versus $500 here. That's not even bad. There are much worse examples. And the weight loss drug, Ozempic, costs 10 times more in the United States than in the rest of the developed world.
Boss lady,
10
they might
times
say
more.
it.
Why?
But there's been a war going on in Yemen since the day he came into office.
But we never had a president that had the courage to do this.
He came the first week. And they don't mention that no more, but it's a big war. It's still happening. I have people in my group that are over there.
And I don't think it's fair that it benefits Obamacare. Obamacare is a failure.
With no war, the government makes no money.
It's not a good health care.
The politicians don't get paid in their pockets.
I had an obligation to make it work.
It's just not going to happen.
Or an obligation to let it die. I chose that we had to make it work. I had to make it as good as possible. And
this guy is not for the people I'm starting to notice. That, like I said, I believe he's just a puppet.
Means it was still not very good, but
it might not even survive. He might just be being forced to do what he's doing. Maybe he wants to be good.
This makes everything work.
But he's just a puppet.
I don't want to have a bad
he cares
form of
nothing right now
because of the fact
anything
I was able
other
to
than
cut
trying to pump the markets, just like he pumped his
90%.
Trump coin.
So we're going to maybe come up with something. I think this gives the Republicans a chance to actually do a health care that's much better than Obamacare.
And he doesn't care about normal people. He doesn't even understand normal people. Like, so when he was talking about the gas prices being $1.98, he's talking about on the market. He never been to a gas station.
They have fought like hell for the drug companies.
Funny shit.
And they knew they were doing the wrong thing.
Somebody pointed out to him.
I was just telling the leader and the speaker that it's going to be very hard for the Democrats to vote against the one big, beautiful deal. The greatest tax cuts in history, greatest everything. But now you have the big
because of our
drug prices because that's going to be included.
Refund on
it makes that whole situation different from a scoring standpoint. I just told them, I called them up about this. I said, I'm going to do something that's going to be very monumental, and you're going to be scoring. You better tell your people that this is going to score really well, and then add hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs to your list also. But as big as the tariffs are, this is something that really hits quickly. 5 years ago, I signed an executive order to confront this disaster, but only confront it in a minor way. It was a good confrontation, but never to this extent. And it took people a little while to understand a very complicated system. But Joe Biden, without any knowledge of what he was doing, terminated the policy and then pretended to negotiate under a new system. And then you take a look, 5 out of the 10 drugs that he negotiated are now over 200% more expensive in America than the rest of the world, and far more expensive than when he even got involved. Much more expensive than when he got involved. Joe Biden's plan was as you know, because you wrote about it, you don't say it very loudly, but it was a very big failure, was his whole presidency. First, I'm directing the U.S. Trade Representative and Department of Commerce to begin investigations into foreign nations that extort drug companies by blocking their products unless they accept bottom line and very low dollar amounts for their product, unfairly shifting the cost burden onto American patients. And we'll be taking a look at that very strongly. The biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to tell those countries,
once they lose that, they lose
those represented by the European Union, that that game is up. Sorry,
they control.
And if they want to get cute, then they don't have to sell cars into the United States anymore. It's a very big subject, and they won't get cute because they'll defend the drug companies from that standpoint. They were given a price by the European Union and other countries. This is what you do. This is what we're going to
They
pay.
went
We're
to
not
the
going to
moon
pay
and they
anymore.
lost
Let America pay the difference because it was a big
technology
shortfall. Let
that
America pay
got
it.
them there.
And that's what we did.
I find
But we're
that
not
pretty
doing it
freaking
anymore.
hard to
Next,
believe,
my
man.
administration will secure what we're calling most favored nations drug pricing. The principle is simple. Whatever the lowest price paid for a drug in other developed countries, that is the price that Americans will pay. And we're using the term other developed countries.
I don't believe anybody's going to be able to change anything.
Additional help, and that's fine. I think that's very good.
Right, the people that control
Some
everything,
prescription drug and pharmaceutical
control
prices
everything.
will be reduced almost immediately by
I don't believe they
50
fight
to 80
amongst
to
each other.
90%. Big Pharma will
I
either
believe they
abide by
put
this
that out
principle
there,
voluntarily
but really
or
they
will use
call
the
each
power of
other
the federal
and talk
government
to
to
each other,
ensure
hang
that
out.
we are paying the same price as other countries. To accelerate these price restrictions and reductions, my administration will also cut out the middlemen. We're going to totally cut out the famous middlemen. Nobody knows who they are, middlemen. I've been hearing the term for 25 years, middlemen. I don't know who they are, but they're rich. That I can tell you. We're going to cut out the middlemen and facilitate the direct sale of drugs at the most favored nation price directly to the American citizen. So we're cutting out, Bobby, the middlemen. It's so important, right? They got to do that.
They are literally
they're worse than
friends.
The drug companies. They don't even make a product, and they make a fortune. It's very smart business people, that I can tell you. If companies make no significant progress toward most favored nation pricing,
you can't even
which we
hate on
will
them. They're
insist
smart.
that they do,
They
so I
run
think
shit.
I'm wasting
They
time
did it.
talking about it. We're going to insist upon it. And we'll
Try to
insist
play
that we're going to
along
help the
in the
drug
markets
companies
with
with the
them,
other nations.
and you can make a lot of
those
money.
other nations do a lot
Don't
of
matter if it
trading
goes
with us.
up
They
or
need our
down.
trade just like China needed us very badly. They need us
I believe
just
they're
as badly.
setting up,
We will
getting people
do
to
whatever
buy
we have to with
into
trade,
the
just
market.
like
They've already
we
did
did
their
some great
first
things with
sell-off.
trade with
The
India and
next one's going to be
Pakistan.
bigger.
Really helped the situation.
Or
Very
do you
heated
think it's going to go to
situation.
new all-time highs? I
Could have
don't.
lost millions of people, more than millions. I mean, many millions of people. And
Millions and millions
they
and
want to
millions
do business
and
with
millions.
America, but we never used our powers that way. We never knew how. We never had people that knew how to do that.
Likes.
We'll
Come on,
also
guys.
open up
All
America's
you need is
market
42
to
more
safe
likes, and I'm
and
gonna
legal
pop
imports of
in
affordable
this
drugs
chat
from other
the
countries,
promo
putting
code to give you
dramatic downward
$200
pressure
in
on
your account
prices.
if you're the first one to put it in.
And if
So
necessary,
make sure you
we'll
got an account.
investigate the drug companies,
Make sure
and
you're
we'll, in
into your
particular,
promo spot.
investigate the countries that are doing this, and we will add it onto the price
Grind
that
Mobile, just
we
exit the
charge
chat
them
for a minute,
for doing
hit the like
business in
button,
America.
and you get right back
In other
the
words,
chat.
we'll add
be
it
waiting
onto
here.
tariffs if they don't do what is right, which is everybody should equalize. Everybody should pay the same price. And special interests may not like this very much, but the American people will. I mean, I am doing this for the American people. I'm doing this against the most powerful lobby in the world, probably the drug lobby, drug and pharmaceutical lobby. But it's one of the most important orders, I think, that's ever been signed,
Trump was
certainly with regard
really
to
arguing
healthcare
with the
health
Fed. He
in
would
the history of
abolish
our
the
country,
Fed.
and it's an
The
honor to be
government
a
and
part of it.
president
And
have
I'd
the
like to
power
ask
to abolish the Fed. That's
Robert
the
F.
only
Kennedy
thing they
to
can
say
do.
a
They
few words,
can't
please. Thank you.
make them do one thing or another, but they can abolish
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an extraordinary day. This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. This was the fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' runs for presidency, that he was going to eliminate this discrepancy
17 likes and 67
between
likes.
Europe and the United States.
I don't know what.
But as
Maybe
it
there's a
turns
scratch
out,
on your phone there.
none of them were doing it. It's one of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. And the reason they'll never have to do it is because they know that Congress is controlled in so many ways by the pharmaceutical industry. There's at least one pharmaceutical lobbyist for every congressman, every senator on Capitol Hill, and every member of the Supreme Court. By some estimates, 3. Pharmaceutical companies, the industry itself spends 3 times what the next largest lobbyist spends on lobbying. So this was an issue that people talked about, but nobody wanted to do anything.
And they just call it lobbying
because
and it's
it was
legal.
radioactive.
That makes
You couldn't get it by
zero
Congress.
sense.
We now
if
have
that isn't a twisted
a
government,
president who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry too. I think they gave you $100 million, but he can't be bought. unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine.
I want to believe that. I want to believe that, but I don't.
To stand up for the American people. We have 4.2% of the world's population. Our country represents 75% of the revenues for pharmaceutical companies. We spend in our country $1,126 per capita on drugs. In Britain, they spend about $240. They spend 1/5 of what we do. And this is true across Europe. And the drug
politicians over here would get out of bed with them companies. We wouldn't have that. If we wouldn't allow lobbying,
it's not
we
going to happen.
wouldn't have that. But we are
Trump
going to
is
continue
saying to
letting
our
lobbying
European partner
be a thing. We're going to
you've
continue
got to raise
getting
the amount
shafted.
that you're paying for those drugs and pay for your share of the innovation. That the United States is no longer subsidizing that. If the Europeans raise the price of their drugs by just 20%, that is $10 trillion that can be spent on innovation and the health of all people all across the globe.
CPI is tomorrow.
Because we're going to have
retail sales on Friday.
So I'm just so grateful to be here today. I never thought that this would happen in my lifetime. I have a couple of kids who are Democrats, are big Bernie Sanders fans. And when I told them that this was going to happen, they had tears in their eyes because they thought this is never going to happen in our lifetime. And we finally have a president who's willing to stand up for the American people. Thank you. And Dr. Oz.
And these kids have a lot of money, and I doubt they're
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy.
crying over the prices of
This is the most powerful executive order
I can be wrong.
on pharmacy pricing and healthcare ever in the history of our nation. And it's only happening because we have a president with the fortitude, the guts to stand up to the withering criticism and lobbying that's going to occur as soon as folks hear about the executive order. So on behalf of the child in Philadelphia who's got an autoimmune disease with a $1,000 a month drug, or the older woman in Los Angeles who's on a blood thinner who can't afford her copay, I want to thank President Trump. God bless you for having the guts to take on this industry. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk about the details a little bit. And this is primarily about equalization, as President Trump said. It's about fairness. Think of NATO as a metaphor. When President Trump said, you've got to pay a little more, so it makes sense for all of us, they came up. And the European countries contributed. The same thing we believe will happen in this situation. Most people who have thought about this process agree that it is patently unfair to tolerate the numbers that Secretary Kennedy and President Trump have reflected to you. On this chart to my left is a list of the 10 drugs that were
would you rather
in the
just
IRA.
be doing our normal
Again,
show? But
the
so
bill,
far,
the law that
these
regulates a
announcements
negotiation
have been
process.
happening
This is
during
the
our
best
show
price,
time, so I think it's a good idea to watch
obtained by
this
the
again.
Biden administration. And if you look at these numbers, they actually reflect how much on top of the most favored nation price was being paid by the United States. So the closest to me, Bob, you can point to the Jardines, the closest one, 289%, the one that's closest to you. That means that we are paying in America 4 times more than that drug costs in other countries. Again, 100% is the baseline. It's 289% above that baseline. It goes all the way down to when we're paying 50% more than any other country. That's the range. As was pointed out by President Trump, half the time we're paying 3 times more than is paid in other countries. It doesn't make any sense for the system. That's stated. President Trump has over and over again indicated.
I'm not in any trade right now. I will be
as well. We
probably
want
getting in one. I'm waiting until all this
technology
BS announcement shit slows down and
for drugs
their
cures many
attempt
people in America and around the world as possible.
Get more
by getting our allies to
liquidity
pay
in the
a bit
market
more.
stop.
as they
and
should
I want
be,
to
and they
confirm
should
that
have for
before I
many years
really
been
enter a
doing,
big
will
short.
of course
I may
correct
start
a
doing
problem that's
entering
gotten
some
out of
smaller
hand. And by doing
trades
that
here in
in
the
a
next
thoughtful,
couple days,
effective way,
but nothing
we're going to be able to get the
huge
pharmaceutical
yet. I
industry
will let you
whole.
guys know
Those
when I
jobs
do.
will still be here, will still be productive, will still be curing cancer and a
Check
slew of other
Bitcoin.
ailments that plague humanity.
Bitcoin
America
is
will
at
still be a leader
102.8,
in this space, but we'll be paying
is
the
it?
appropriate amount, the right-sized amount for those
102.6.
tasks. So over
I mean,
the
it's
next
not
30
jumping
days,
hard. It's falling.
the four of
I
us
would,
up here,
I would watch that
together with people
RSI.
standing in the back
make
of this room, who are
sure
doing a lot of the
that you
heavy
don't get some
lifting, are going to be
bullish
approaching
divergence soon
pharmaceutical
on, like, the
companies to
4
talk
hour.
specifically about what we want the most
Or in
favored nation
bullish.
price to be based on the best data we have. We're looking forward to a thoughtful
Showed me that 103
interaction
was
with
down,
these
but now it's
corporate leaders,
green.
many of whom we've
Nice.
spoken to and in quiet will agree
Be
the
careful.
system
Watch
is
the
not
4
right the
hour.
way it
Watch
is.
that,
They're patriotic
8
Americans.
EMA.
They want what's right. But the fact that in my
That's what I would
lifetime,
keep an eye
as
on.
Secretary
If it
Kennedy said,
drops
for the
below
first
there and open
time,
and
we
closes
have a
one
thoughtful
below the
and
8
aggressive
EMA, I
approach,
may enter short
thanks to
on the
President
4
Trump,
hour.
on taking on the special interests. Should give all Americans confidence that this is an administration that stands for fairness and should chill the waters for those who believe they can push us away from our North Star, which is to take care of the American people. Mr. President, God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jay, you want to go next?
Sure.
Good.
So I teach economics at Stanford as well as health policy. And one thing that's really, really simple in economics is that when you have a persistent price difference for the same product between two countries, there is something deeply wrong. And what President Trump has done is a historic
right
measure
now,
that
again,
should have
it's
been done
4
a long
hours,
time
so
ago.
depending on how
What we're
long,
going
but
to
it's
do
right
is
around
make sure that those prices
102.5
become much closer to equal,
in
like,
that area.
like a competitive market you'd expect.
But I would have to
Right
see a
now, what's
4 hour open
happening
and
is
close,
the
so
American
it's
people
like,
are subsidizing in large
so
large
wait a minute.
fraction
I'm
the
sorry,
research
that's
and
on the
development
daily.
efforts for
Why
drug
is
companies
mine
around
on
the
the
world
daily?
by
It's
the
never
higher
on the
prices
daily.
that we pay.
We are below on
With this new order,
below the 8 EMA. on the
Europe will
4
share the
hour.
burden of that. And in
So,
fact,
yeah, so
if you
I'm
may
gonna-
think of it as like as somehow it's like it's going after drug companies, actually it's helping drug companies. Because what we're also going to do
still
with this
making
order,
some
what President
hidden
Trump has
measures,
done with this
so
order,
be careful
is
here.
he's said to
I'll get
European
into the charts here in a
governments,
minute. This
look,
should
if
be
you are taking
almost
advantage
over.
of the drug
It's just a
companies
bunch
by
of hogwash
forcing them
right
to
now, but
charge very,
just
very
in
low
case they say
prices,
something
we're going
or
to
slip
defend
of the
American drug
tongue.
companies in Europe. At the same time, we're standing up for the American consumer who's been paying far too high prices for far too long. I can
Really
go back
below it
decades
in
to
the
point
4
to
hour.
congressional reports after
If
government
this
report after
opens
government
and
report
closes
of
below
tremendously high drug prices,
in the 4 hour.
much higher than the rest of the
Gotta
world.
close, open and close
nothing has
below
been done about
the
it until this
21
moment.
in the 4
And
hour,
I'm really, really
which is
proud,
about
President Trump, that
103.
you've done this. I'm really proud to be included
But
in
again,
this.
I'll go
Looking
over
forward
the
to the work
charts.
ahead.
I'm not going to be doing anything in the next couple hours.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the
trade.
many doctors I've talked to about this very issue, thank you for taking the bull by the horns.
Wait a minute, I'm
Presidents
short,
on
though,
both
up there at
sides of the aisle have
105,
talked about
106.
this and floated it and said they've wanted to do
That's
it.
the
So
shitty thing about
you've had the
doing
courage
these,
to do it. Thank
videos
you.
for
I've been
me,
a
'cause it
surgical
kinda screws
oncologist
me
at
up
Johns Hopkins
timing
for
that I
22
should be
years, and I have
watching
seen
charts and
patients
trying to do YouTube
suffer.
thing and get this
We
stuff
didn't
out.
take an oath to heal patients and then
A lot
watch
of
their life
times,
get
not all the time,
ruined
but a lot of times
financially.
it does screw
With
up
their
my
home,
trading,
mortgage,
entry and
retirement,
exits.
going
if
down the drain with GoFundMe campaigns,
the timing's
raising money
screwed
from
up,
church
right?
communities and synagogues and friends they haven't seen in 20
But
years
it's all right. There will
to try
always
to
be
raise
trades.
money for
The
what?
market
For a
will always
system where
offer
Americans have been getting ripped
opportunity,
off
right?
by 10, 12, 15 times higher prices than we see in other countries. The fundamental problem in healthcare is that we've had non-competitive markets. And we can do little things around the edges, or we can transform those markets to competitive markets, and that's what this executive order does today. Imagine buying a Ford for $175,000, a regular car, and then hearing that people in London are buying it for $10,000 every day, all day long. That is the craziness of this system. We're going to do everything we can at the FDA to support this executive order. It's transformative. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, everybody. I think it's a very important day. In many ways, you have
I'd like to wrapping this up. I'll be
we
right
start
back.
with the Houthis. We go to Pakistan and India. We go to what we did with China, the trade deal, and with UK. And by the way, many other deals are coming in very much. At a certain point, we'll just set the price because we know where we are. But we'll just set the price. But world trade is going to be terrific, and our country is going to be making a lot of money. Taxes are going to go down. Taxes are going to go down very, very substantially. But you look at all of the things that we've done, and now today I'm heading over. We'll see what we're going to do with respect to Iran. I think you have very good things happening there, too, by the way. I think can't have a nuclear weapon, but I think that they are talking intelligently. We're in the midst of talking to them, and they're right now acting very intelligent. We want Iran to be wealthy and wonderful and happy and great, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. So I think they understand that I mean business, and I think they're being very reasonable thus far.
And let's wrap this up. We'll go over the charts
don't
real quick.
underestimate Thursday in Turkey. President Erdogan is going to be a great host, and we are doing some work with him having to do with Syria, too, by the way. We're going to have to make a decision on the sanctions, which we may very well relieve. We may take them off of Syria because we want to give them a fresh start. But President Erdogan's asked me about that. Many people have asked me about that because the way we have him sanctioned, it doesn't really give him much of a start. So we want to see if we can help them out.
Him walk to the room because
so we'll make that determination. But I think you're going to have maybe a good meeting. You have the potential for a good meeting, that a meeting wasn't going to take place. I insisted that that meeting take place. And it is taking place. And I think you may have a good result out of the Thursday meeting in Turkey between Russia and Ukraine. And I believe the two leaders were going to be there. I was thinking about flying over. I don't know where I'm going to be on
Nobody
Thursday.
went to jail. They're not even talking about it no more. Elon
I was thinking about
got away from
flying
Doge.
over there. There's a possibility of it, I guess, if I think things can happen. But we got to get it done. We got to save 5,000 lives a week. 5,000 lives is really more than that. It's worse than that. And when you see and you don't want to see it, but when you see the satellite photographs of the battlefield with arms and legs and heads all over the place, separated by 30 yards from bodies, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So we're working very hard to see if we can end that bloodbath. Okay, there shouldn't be too many questions. It's been covered pretty well.
Mr. President, thank you for taking questions. Two quick ones for you, starting on trade. If a longer-term deal is not reached with China at the end of these 90 days, can the American people expect those tariffs to go back up to 145%?
No, but they would go up substantially higher.
Okay. And then
you know, at 145, you're really decoupling because nobody's going to buy. But they can go, they got very high because of additional tariffs I applied during the course because of fentanyl and other things. But no, but they'd go substantially higher.
And then on Qatar, Mr. President,
I think you will have a deal, however.
Okay, you're confident that there will be a deal. On Qatar, has Qatar asked for anything in exchange for that $400 million luxury jumbo jet? And how can the American people be so sure that they will not in the future?
Well, I think what happens with the plane is that, you know, we're very disappointed that it's taking Boeing so long to build a new Air Force One. You know, we have an Air Force One that's 40 years old.
All the fucking money,
and if you take a look at that compared to the new plane,
and all that shit, nobody gets in trouble.
Stature
They're never going to stop because they don't get in trouble because they run shit. And that's what's going to continue happening.
Countries
Nobody's
and the planes they have
anything.
parked alongside of the United States of America plane. It's
We
like
have
from
to
a
look out
different
for
planet.
ourselves and learn how to make
And
money.
it's close to
A lot
40
of
years old, might be more than 40 years old now.
Trading is a good way to do
that. When I first came in, I signed an order to get it built. I took it over from the Obama administration. They had originally agreed. I got the price down much lower. And then when the election didn't exactly work out the way that it should have, a lot of work was not done on the plane because a lot of people didn't know. They made change orders that were so stupid, so ridiculous. And it ended up being a total mess, a real mess. And when I came back, I said, by the way, what's going on with the Boeings that are coming in? Well, sir, they're way behind. And they are. They're way behind. They were way behind.
Another mess that I inherited
from
Biden. Go check, make sure the gold's there, and then they kind of start making jokes about it, and then poof, they don't talk about it.
I think Qatar, has really, we've helped them a lot over the years in terms of security and safety. I think they, and very, very nicely, and I have a lot of respect for the leadership and for the leader, Qatar. And I think they knew about it because they buy Boeings. They buy a lot of Boeings. And they knew about it.
Where's
and
the
they
gold?
Said, we would like to
Show
do
me
something.
the gold. Like it would be that hard to go there and look in.
As
I mean,
a contribution to our Defense
they
Department.
can literally
to use
stop everything today, jump on a plane,
years while they're
fly there,
building the other
check it
ones.
out, Bring in
I
some
think that
guy
was a
to
very
test
nice
it
gesture.
and see
Now,
if it's real. And
I could be a stupid
done,
person and say, "Oh no, we don't want a free plane."
that,
We
but
give
they
free
won't.
things out.
They're
We'll
not
take
going
one
to do
too,
it. They don't care.
and it helps us out because
Probably
again,
no
we're talking
gold
about
there.
we have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep
Come
them
on,
tippy
give
top
me your comments on
is
that.
astronomical.
Whether you
wouldn't
agree
believe
with
it.
me or not, I want to hear
So I
what
think
your
it's a
thoughts
great
are. Do you think the
gesture
gold's
from
there?
Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture.
Gold.
And I think it was a gesture because of the
What I
fact that
think,
we have helped and continue to. We will continue to.
Politicians
all of those
probably all
countries, Saudi
sold it to
Arabia,
other foreign governments, and they're
UAE,
sitting on all the gold.
Qatar, and others. We keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now.
Or they're
And
sitting
I
in
think
the
this was just a
politicians'
gesture of
basements.
good faith. And
the bunker.
I don't get it. Someday it'll be like Ronald Reagan. They decommission them. You know, they get to a certain age, they decommission them. It'll go to my library. They're talking about going to my library in
Like
years
Federal
out.
Reserve. It's all
But I
monopoly
thought it was a
money,
great
right?
gesture. And it's something that was done by Ronald Reagan. They actually decommissioned the plane and he put it in
Psycho
his
said, I think
library.
it's
and
all there, but
it
not
actually
all.
has made the library.
they know
so
where
I think
it
a
is,
Boeing
though.
707.
Where do you think
it's
the
actually
rest
made
of
the
it is?
library more successful. So it was good.
Do you plan to use the plane after you leave office?
No, I don't. No, it would go directly to the library after I leave office.
President.
I wouldn't be using it. No.
Mr. President, on the hostage, you said that the release of the American hostage, Adam Alexander, is a step in good faith to end this war. Do you expect any progress, perhaps announcement on ceasefire during your trip to the Middle East?
We hope that we're going to have other hostages released too, as you know. So when I met with the hostages 3 weeks ago that were there for quite a while, you remember the 10 people that came in, mostly young people. 1 or 2 were a little bit older. They were explaining the trials and tribulations. I mean, they went through hell.
Guys are close.
And I said, how many are
Running
there? They
out of
said
time,
59. I said, that's a lot. I didn't realize, because we got a lot out. You know, we got a lot of hostages out, I think you will acknowledge.
He
They said
obviously wants to
59,
keep
but then they said, they followed
talking.
that up by
So
saying
we're going to get out
59,
of
of
this,
which
guys. I'm
24
going to
are
take a
living,
quick
the
look at
rest
the
are dead.
charts. I know that's
But
what
the
a lot of you
people
guys came here for.
Whose son,
I'm
mostly
also
son,
going to talk
I think
about
one
some
daughter,
other things,
in
but
this
let's take
case,
a look
but
at
mostly
market right
sons
now.
Are there, or husbands. Are
Down
there.
from what it
Those
was
people
earlier,
want
but
the
still
dead bodies
just about
as
break
much as they
even.
want the live body. I have a mother
Nothing
that
really huge. So
calls
let's
me,
take a look at
that came up to me when I first met her, and she said, "Sir,
some of these
please,
charts here. We're
please
going to
get
take a
my
look
son
at
out."
gold.
He's dead,
Obviously,
but they have
gold's
his
going
body.
back down.
And
Remember,
I asked
here's
her
the
about
area
that,
to
and
watch
it's
gold.
as
If it
though
breaks back below
he were
here,
alive.
then it's
The
probably
level
top.
of wanting that
Otherwise, we still have the
body
possibility
back
of getting up to
is
that
the same. It couldn't be
37.65.
anymore, as
Now,
though he were
taking a
alive.
look at
So,
silver,
you know,
same
getting
thing.
the bodies back is
Nothing's
very
really
important.
changed
That
in
could
any
be
of this stuff, guys.
a thing having to do
the
with
dollar,
religion.
the
It
dollar
could
has
be
got a
same.
pump, but it looks like
I
it's
was amazed
coming
at the
into
level of importance.
the
It's the same as if
55
son or
EMA
husband
right
or
here
whatever
on the
was alive.
daily. So we'll see
So,
if it can get above
they
that.
said
Then its next
59. In fact, they
resistance
came out. They came
is
in with
about
the number 59
104, right?
written out on
So
like a sign
technically,
on
with
their
the markets
chest.
going
They
up,
came to thank me
the
for
dollar
getting them
should
out.
be continuing down,
And,
but it's not. That's a weird thing.
I said,
Along
what
with
does
the
the
10-year
59
yield.
mean? They said,
Take a
well,
look
that
at the
means there are
10-year
59
yield here,
people.
right?
But
We're
then they
getting a
said,
pump on
but
the 10-year
24
yield. It's coming down a little bit from the
living.
daily,
Now
but
it's 21.
nevertheless,
The
it's
number's
getting
21.
a
So now
pump
it's actually
up while the markets are
we'll
going
get
up.
Eton
And
today.
usually
I
that's
think
not
we're
a thing.
getting him
That
today.
doesn't,
So it's
that
20.
doesn't
So they have 20 live
happen.
hostages
That
there.
doesn't
The
make
rest are dead
sense. That
bodies.
makes no sense.
Mr. President, are you
Let's take a
open
look
to negotiating
at
tariffs on cars, steel, and aluminum with China or any other
oil.
country?
Oil's
Well,
right
we're not even
at our
talking about
level
that.
there at that 69.
We're bringing the car
that
business back into
key
this
level,
country. We have
that
commitments,
not a lot going
not
on
only
there. There's
commitments, they've
another
already started
DXY chart.
construction on
We're going to take a
many
look
plants.
at the
They've
Dow
left
Jones.
Mexico in a
Dow
few
Jones
cases.
is
In a
above
few
the
cases,
golden
they've left Canada.
pocket
They're not
zone.
going to
Now
build
our
in Canada. They're
786
going
is
to build
about
here.
43,295.
We have the market,
We'll see what
and, the
happens. If it
tariffs
can maintain above
have been
this
amazing.
and
The
stay above
election
the
and the
golden
tariffs.
pocket zone,
November 5th
then our
was a
next
big
step
day,
is going
and
to be about that.
On top of that, of course, you wouldn't have the
43.3
tariffs without the
range.
election, I guess, if you look at it.
Let me
But,
see. Can I do I have
we
the
have
volume? I need
at
to put
least
the
11
volume on here.
committed
I want to see
massive
the volume
car
on
factories
the
that are
Dow,
going to
and
be
it's not letting
built,
me
that are going to be that are in
add
the
an
process
indicator.
of being
What's
built.
going on there?
And
Set this.
some are going through, some have actually started. We also have
Let's throw the
renovations
volume on
of
here.
existing factories where they weren't utilizing utilizing the full
regular
factory from
volume.
years gone by. and now they're under full renovation. They'll be opening up
Why
full
isn't it
factories in a
showing?
very short period of time. Our car industry is, I think we're going to have the #1 industry. You know, if you look at Japan and these others, they do tremendously with cars, and they can do that too. But you know, if they want to sell cars in the United States, they're going to have to build factories in the United States. Because I'm interested in cars for the United States. Now, one other thing is, in our tax bill, we're giving not only no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, but also we're going to get a deduction for people that borrow money to buy a car if it's made.
I'm so disappointed.
If it's
Anyway,
not, we have no interest.
S&P's almost up to its 78.6 fib, which is about 58.68. We'll see what happens here.
If President Putin doesn't show up to
in some divergence, but looks like we could get raised above this, kind of like it did in Bitcoin. If it follows what Bitcoin did, then we have a little bit higher to go. Ooh, look at that. We got back in the
one said
channel
ceasefire,
here
one said no
for
ceasefire, was going
the
back and
Nasdaq.
forth.
If it can hold above this 18.4 for the close of the day,
just go to the
we
meeting.
may
The meeting's been
be
set.
going
Go to the meeting on
new
Thursday.
all-time
And
highs
if I
like
thought it
people
would
have been
be helpful,
suspecting. But
I don't
again,
know
we
where
have our
I'm going to be at
78.6
that
fib. We got to
particular
get
point.
above
I'll
that
be
at
someplace in the Middle East, but I would fly there if I thought it would be helpful.
So the big announcement for Prime XBT, guys, I got it extended. It is extended for another 30 days. The $10,000 up to $10,000 bonus. Once you sign up using my link, whatever you deposit, they will match up to $10,000 to use towards your margin. The new promo code, if you're already signed up in my account, you have to use the new promo code. it's Crypto Savvy 100, not just Savvy 100, but Crypto Savvy 100. I'll need to change that in the.
Now South Africa leadership is coming to see me. I understand sometime next week. And you know, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something, but we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of, but it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about.
Now that you guys know that,
but it's a terrible thing that's
for
taking
another
place.
30 days.
Farmers are being killed.
They didn't work with me on that. Remember, they've added a bunch of stocks.
White or black makes no difference
Tesla,
to me. White
Netflix, things like that. You can trade gold, everything all from one exchange on Prime XBT. And those of you that do not
and the newspapers and the media
use KYC, you don't want to use VPN, no VPN needed. Check out BITUNIX. There's also a trading competition on here. It's not so much a competition. It goes by trading volume, but you can win highest prize is Model 3 or $35,000. Rolex is the second prize for $12,000, all the way down to an Apple Watch or $279,000. We had some winners last time. I've been showing you guys on there.
So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people.
Those of you that like altcoins, things like that,
escape from that
meme coins, things like that, you'll find more of that on BitUniX, right? So here's the bullish chart that we were talking about.
Are you letting China off the hook?
I probably should stop this, right? Sorry about that, guys. Totally sorry about that. That he was still going. I couldn't hear him from my end. I apologize. Okay. So anyways, yeah, obviously it's dropping down a little bit here, but remember, we talked about this way before it happened, that if we got a good bounce here, we could be looking for one more new all-time high, which is still a possibility. We also could have still topped there, right? So I'm still looking at it and this point. I really think this is more of what's in line coming, in my opinion. This is what I drew out Friday as possibilities, unless we break the high and make a new all-time high. But this is also the trend lines I want to be watching. So if you look here, right, this is 135 to 125 for ending fifth wave. But guys, this just doesn't make sense. That this count size just isn't right here. I've went over that before, but let's throw for you guys that want to be super bullish out here, right? Here's the price label on this blue trend line, which goes off of our 2017, 21, and would be our top here sometime in. So if it ended all the way in December, right? You'd be looking at, like I said, 125 to 135 for the top. If it's going to be like every other 4-year cycle, which I don't think so, but it is a possibility. If so, you're up here. We are above this trend. So anything above 94 250. Remember we talked about if it broke above here and it held, which it did, it was bullish. It was bullish. But are we making any? This is the daily. Let's see if we're making any divergence here. Which we are making some daily divergence from these highs, right? So let's draw a trend line from this high, right? Where we're at here, and we're going to thicken that so you can see it. We're making lower highs, right? On the daily. Pull up the RSI. Them same highs, right? You got to go from the last high. And you're getting hidden bearish divergence there, guys. So be careful. Let's take a look at the altcoins. So this is what I've been showing here as a possibility, right? It's playing out a lot like this did over here. Obviously, this one a lot higher for if it is a dead cat bounce, which I think is still a good possibility. This is that MicroStrategy ETF thing. Ooh, I didn't notice this. So XRP pumped up above this 244. If it does hold, let's watch this daily. If it holds and tomorrow's daily opens and closes above that, then we could be going to that 391 range, possibly. But if we close below that, same thing. What this broke too, ADA, but we know what happened last time, right? So just be careful there. Everything looks pretty overbought, in my opinion. Ethereum, oh wow, I didn't realize Ethereum finally broke this. Let's see what happens here. I'm not convinced that it's going to stay. And again, like I said, I'll let you guys know when I enter more trades. But Litecoin even broke back through its resistance. But again, it's all pretty high on the oversold levels. So just be careful there, guys. I know it looks bullish, but oftentimes when things look bullish, just like Tesla here, looks like it's just the RSI resetting. We could get up to this 351 before continuing down. We do have this trend line we drew here. Don't remember why I drew it there, but it looks like it might be a resistance 326. That's why I don't erase stuff on my charts. I like to keep a close eye on that. But Bitcoin is getting a nice little pullback here. Yeah. Anyways, Luke said it's going to take a few months. Trump is doing background analysis. Yeah. Sorry about that confusion with all the background noise. But let's go back over. Is he still talking or is it over?
They will follow through.
He is. So let's continue watching this for a little bit, guys.
It'll be very interesting.
Mr. President, what is...
Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. You know, there was an old golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear of him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer. And he had a motto, when they give you a putt, you say, thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole.
86 legs, guys. You're almost made it.
No, I insist on putting it. Then they
you can push now and hit that like button and get it to 100 likes.
You know what?
Within the next 2 or 3 minutes, I will put the $200 promo code
you pick it up
in the
and
chat.
you walk to the next hole and you say, thank you very much.
Respectfully, sir, as a businessman, some people may look at this and say, have you ever been given a gift worth millions of dollars and then not received anything?
It's not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense. And you should know better, because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network is a disaster. ABC is a disaster. Here is the bill. Bobby, come on over here. Now you're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars. Thank you very much, everybody.
87 likes, 13 more likes, guys. Can you pump it?
Thank you very much.
Can you pump those likes? I'm going to give you till 11 o'clock, so you have 6 minutes to get 100 likes. That is over now, so we can shut that off. Stock markets are relatively even as to when the announcement started. Excuse me, 90 likes. Need 10 more likes. It's true, NBC sucks. All news sucks. It's all narrative driven. It's all to drive a narrative. Narrative for one side or the other to keep people arguing, and it's disgusting. Like, I watch people on Facebook say some of the things, and they believe so much in the one side that they will not believe anything on the other side, and vice versa, when there's a little tiny bit of truth in both sides, but not much. It's all bullshit to keep everyone arguing, in my opinion. And if you're stuck on one side or the other, I honestly feel sorry for you, because you're living in a illusion. An illusion. Illusion. Let's go, sir. Oh, seven more. You got 4 minutes. I think you guys are going to make it this time. I actually think you're going to make it. Hit the 1 in the chat if you already hit the like, and hit 2 in the chat if you're not going to hit the like. You're just stubborn and you don't want to hit the like button. I will understand. Crypto Kings, of course. Anthony, Blue Thundered, Alexandra. I love when you guys are paying attention and actually answering the chat. Bear and Boss Lady. Have you dabbled in trading yet, Bear? Psycho. 3 more likes. Exit the chat if you're on your mobile phone. Hit the like button and you get right back in the chat. We almost got it. I'm not going to tell you when I put it in there. You just got to be ready for it. If you get that 100 like, are you going to make it? No, I just like you. You're a nice guy. Thanks, brother. Back at you. The last skid steer might be sold, bud. There's a guy that's called me on it today. So I will let you know if I sell it, though, before you get down here. Or if you want it for sure, I can hold it for you. But let me know who gets it. If it worked for you, you got it first. Let me know. I'm curious to see who gets it. And I want to keep updated on... Yeah, all good, brother. Creedon got it. Right on. Oh, no. Alan said he got it. Who got it? 2 people couldn't get it. In a way. Alan or Sir? Which one of you guys got it? Got 103 likes now. 100 concurrent viewers. I appreciate you guys for tuning in too, man. I like hanging out with you guys in the morning. Maybe we'll have a regular video tomorrow, unless there's another crazy, stupid announcement. We'll see what happens. Now showing here. What's up, Donna? How are you this morning? You're caught just the end of the show. We just gave away the promo code. I'm about to head out. I got a lot of crap to do today. I gotta go get some more stone. I gotta get some dirt. I got to move some stuff. It's gonna be a fun day. Come on, give us another code, Rambler said. Should I do that? Let's see. If we can get this chat scrolling all ones across the board and just keep it pumping ones for 1 whole minute, I'll throw another code on there. Start pumping those ones, guys. Pump it. Rambler's going to do it all himself. Come on, guys. You got this. You got it. The crypto trader. Gotta hand it to you guys. You gave it a hell of a shot. Tariff agreement. There was no agreement. It was a pause. I don't understand why they keep saying things like this to confuse people. There is no agreement. There is no trade deal. There is a pause. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a pause. Let me know who got it. Let me know who got it. Donna just came in. She might have got lucky and got it right quick. All right, guys. Don't forget, sign up using my link on Prime. The promo bonus or promo code deposit bonus, deposit match bonus up to $10,000. 100%. They'll match 100% of what you put in up to $10,000. Use my link down below. If you're already signed up using my link, use promo code SAVVY or Crypto Savvy 100, and that will get you signed up. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna head out. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. If anything crazy happens, I'll jump back on and do another live later. But take it easy, guys. I'm out.